Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Gal.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Nick may join us later. I hope so. Spence is on the way to Florida. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, by DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. This is as you can tell, Gal is here in the studio, and I'm
Just to prove it.
All right, let's see. Why is this microphone kind of on the low side?
That's because we are doing an ASMR show today. We're talking very, very low.
So Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Yeah, that's that was the fastest year to date, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I saw a few memes on like videos and stuff. The funniest was Happy New Year, everybody celebrating 2020, and suddenly dropping into 2022. It's like 2021 was not there.
Wow.
But then again, 2022 was pretty much the same, if you remember. Nobody remembers 2022, 2021. They're all a blur.
2020, yeah, 2020 was, no, 2020 was kind of pretty long with the, but for me, with all
there
this
was a lot of crap going on.
But it's okay. We're still here, and that's what's important.
Well, not everyone, right? Betty White's
that's
not
true.
with us,
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true. Not everyone.
Yeah.
It
was a year. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't good in any way. Let's just leave it at that.
It was. That's it was, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the best thing, that it was.
Welcome to C2K, very existential show today. Retrospective of 2021.
Now, Gal, I was reading an article talking about 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz on the Wi-Fi.
Mm.
And it hit me that a lot of people are not aware of that problem, if you call it a problem. Everybody thinks 5.0, it's better, it's faster, it's
faster, it's not better.
Right. It depends where you are. If you're sitting in the same room with the router, 5 will probably work great. But 2.4 will take you much farther. So if you're in another room, leave both of them on. But when you are on Wi-Fi and you're in different room, take a look at your, don't just take it for granted that you have Wi-Fi. Take a look at your phone or at your iPad or whatever, and see that you are on the network that is the strongest. And if you step away, and especially if it's a longer way from the router, you're going to see that your 5.0 is really low as far as bars, and the 2.4 is strong. Switch over to 2.4.
Remember, the 5 gigahertz, it's better than Bluetooth, but not necessarily than the older Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And yeah, it reminded me. I mean, one of the guys in the garage was not getting any kind of good Wi-Fi with his Spectrum modem router.
Okay.
He said that, yeah, it's great when we're here, but the kids' room, and if I go outside on the driveway, forget it. So I went there and I installed a router with Wi-Fi. And one thing I learned about Spectrum that I did not know, because I called them to tell them that I'm installing a router. And she
Yeah.
said, so why are you calling?
Yeah, they don't matter. They don't care.
So these days, no. In my days when I had Spectrum in the beginning, in order to install a router, you had to put the modem in bridge mode. You could not do it. They had to do it.
Oh, okay. No.
So today
yeah.
she was telling me, "Oh no, if you just plug a router into the modem, it'll see it right away and it will switch," which is very nice. So
Either that or you can clone the MAC address.
yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like I read somewhere and they say not to do that. I mean, and this is again, it's been some time ago.
Yeah.
But I went ahead and I put it on, and of course, it sort of like defaults to 5.0 because you're sitting right there. And I said, okay, why didn't I go on the driveway and see what you're getting? So he got to the door. I said, no, it's low. I said, "Wait, let me see." So I saw that it's on 5. I switched to 0.4. I said, oh, yeah, full. I said, now go on the driveway. I went, came back. Yeah, it's full. I said, good.
Yep.
A couple of months later, he called and he said, the kids in the room are saying that they don't have Wi-Fi. I said, well, unplug the router and plug it back in. Didn't do it. Do the same thing with the modem. Didn't do it. So I went over there. And somehow, I mean, kids. So the kids' computer in their room was now looking at the Wi-Fi that Spectrum machine. It
Okay.
still had that network.
Oh, okay. It didn't forget that network.
It did not forget it.
Yeah.
And his phone was on the 5.0 again. So I got them all together and I said, look, guys, whenever there's no Wi-Fi or it's weak, take a look right here and don't choose the TP-Link 5, but the other one. And so if you have a problem where you don't get good Wi-Fi at home at certain places, that's the first thing you should look at. And if you're on the 5.5 gig, 5 gigahertz, switch it to 2.4.
Now, to make things even more confusing, Wi-Fi 6 has nothing to do with all of this.
No,
It's just another protocol on 2.4 and
Right.
the 5 gigahertz.
correct.
And for some karmic reason, the same is true for 5G cellular. So uh, because 5 gigahertz, megahertz,
Gigahertz.
gigahertz. Yeah, because 5 gigahertz is higher frequency, then we get a drop in range. The same goes for 5G because they're going up in their frequencies, and so their infrastructure needs to be a lot denser in order to provide service. So that's exactly what's going on. And the further we'll go up the frequency range, that's when we're going to get shorter and shorter ranges.
Mhm.
So they won't be able to go. It will make zero sense to create a transmitter for 10 gigahertz, for example, because the amount of energy that will be required in order to get something done in a very, very small range like a home, right?
It's not
It's
going.
going those routers will be cooking themselves. So that's why we're we're pretty much in the range we're going to use for a long time.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, as
Yeah.
long as it works, it's fine. But
There are reasons to prefer the 5 gigahertz, and that's if you want to go deep into this. Because of the short range, the 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 chances that you will have some sort of overlap with your neighbors is lower, right? So you won't have the same, even if you're using the same channel as a router in the house next door, uh, because the ranges are smaller, then you're getting better signal as long as you're within range. But the range is a lot shorter.
there was an article that they came up with something. I can't remember where it is, but that will allow it to have 7 continuous or simultaneous streams in the same room. I can't remember whose it was. I don't know that it was. Nah, if I'll find it, we'll talk about it. But yeah,
We'll ask. We'll ask the duck. Duck, duck, go.
Oh yeah, sure. All right. Um,
What do you have, what do we have
it's
on the news?
first of all, uh, this just came last night. So it's going to be on the last page. Microsoft Exchange
Okay.
on-premise servers
Mm-hmm.
cannot deliver email starting on January 1st.
Come again?
Yep. If you have an on-premise
Yeah.
Exchange server starting Saturday, yesterday, it cannot deliver mail due to a year 2022 bug. I mean, it's not 2K Y2K, it's Y22K.
Well, they're already offering a fix.
Yeah, well, there's one fix that admins found,
Okay.
but they say if you do it, so here it goes.
So this is breaking news. This is the Bloomberg news 1 hour ago.
Yeah.
Microsoft offered a
Oh,
solution
okay.
to a bug that caused some email messages to become stuck on it due to its New Year related.
And what
date.
is this
Let's
solution?
see. The company said in a blog post. Let's read the blog post itself. Breaking news. This is fresh. Yeah, but looks like Microsoft's site is slow because everybody is going to read it. Okay, so
the one here says that starting with Exchange Server 2013, Microsoft enabled the FIP-FS anti-spam and anti-malware scanning engine by default to protect users from malicious email. According to numerous reports from Microsoft Exchange admin worldwide, a bug in it is blocking email delivery with on-premise servers. However, for on-premise Exchange servers currently affected, admins, not Microsoft, admins have found that you can disable the FIPFS scanning engine to allow email to start delivering again.
Right, and that is exactly what the blog post from Microsoft is saying.
Yeah, but here the writer is adding, unfortunately, with this unofficial fix, delivered mail will no longer be scanned by Microsoft's scanning engine, leading to more malicious emails and spam getting through to users.
Right, I'm trying to read the caveat if there's any caveat there.
So you can do away with that feature that is screwing it up. They say,
well, maybe. So what Microsoft is offering is some sort of reset of the scan engine. It's not it's not
Okay.
disabling it.
Okay. So that's
So
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's I don't understand if you need to download a PowerShell script or use something that already exists, but it says reset scan engine version, and then it
And it
resolves the issue. Yeah,
well, hope I would think that
it is a pain. Something like that is such a pain.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
But
it's
this is interesting. This also means that um, it also means the way that I see it that the uh, in the cloud their Azure, their Office 365, Microsoft 365 offering of Exchange does not use their own scanner.
I, I don't know.
Because there's nobody's reporting on an issue on the Azure, right? And they say it's only on on-prem, and
Well,
it's not as if Microsoft had predicted this and they fixed it on their end.
right.
That's so it means that
But
they're not using that same product that they're giving you on-prem.
but it's also could be that the problem is that this was New Year's weekend and nobody anywhere is using
No,
that,
no.
or maybe one or two
No,
people.
Outlook.com is the same thing, and it's a free
Yeah.
email service like Gmail. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
the
true.
case.
That's true. Well, it's look who's here.
It's windy out, so the internet keeps going in and out. It's been doing it for the last 45 minutes,
So
but it
are you,
Okay, now.
are you
appears to be
saying
stable now.
you're a Starlink candidate now?
No, no, definitely not a Starlink candidate, but for some reason it's it's windy, and for some reason that caused the internet. I got my first email from Uptime Robot at 8:52 this morning, and then since then it's just been bloop 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 bloop, and but for the last 10 minutes or so it's been
Well,
it's been up. So
at least you got to connect. My home PC died last night,
Mm,
just
yeah.
out of the blue. So we're gonna deal with it today.
Happy New Year,
Well, if
Nick.
I just Happy New Year to you, and if I just disappear, that's why I'll try to reconnect.
So what I mean, when you're talking about windy, what kind of wind are we talking about?
No, just 5-10 mile an hour.
Oh,
Nothing, not crazy. It's I don't. I'm sure there's no relation, but it's just funny that it
oh,
was
wait a second. You
windy
back
out.
home?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So that you're talking about Wilmington, not in New York. I thought you were
yeah,
still up there. Okay.
no. So I mean, there is no relation to the wind. I'm sure there's no relation between the wind and the internet issue. It's just funny.
Usage.
Maybe they have some sort of switchboard on one of the boats there out. So it's a bit windy, and
Maybe their solar or their wind generators, their turbines are generating too much power because of the wind, and it's causing equipment to malfunction. Maybe that's the
So how was your visit? First of all, how was your flight back?
fine.
No problem.
No problems
Good.
at all. New York is miserable. I'm glad I left.
Hmm.
Nice to see family, but the state and everything is miserable. So
And it uh did you get what you wanted to get?
yeah, I want to see my family.
That's it. You
Yep.
see that this is it. You that's the important stuff.
of course,
Yeah. Nice. So you went out a lot, you sat around a lot. Good.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good.
yeah. One thing I took from our visit to Manhattan when we were a couple of weeks ago, the the most bizarre reminder of COVID is because even though everybody's out and about, some with masks, some are not, and you are required to show the vaccination card whenever you go in and stuff like that. Almost every corner in Manhattan you have multiple long lines to some COVID testing tent.
Wow.
And so it's these COVID testing tent just propped up, right? Like exactly like the guy selling, I don't know, warm hats, right? So there's like tents like this with long lines starting from the beginning of the morning throughout the day. And of course, every urgent care, which there are a lot as well, right? There's long lines outside of these urgent cares, and everybody's there for COVID testing, either because they need to travel or they need to work, or they were exposed. So, and New York, everything's by foot, so long lines.
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
Did you have to show your card anywhere?
No. No.
Did you see
Absolutely
the same thing up in upstate New York?
No, it's only in the city.
Yeah, it's only in the city.
It's only in the city where 92% of the people are vaccinated that they're having a full-on breakdown. The rest of the state's fine.
Well, I don't know about a breakdown. There is, I do have.
There's a total breakdown.
No,
I
I do have a real
6-mile lines to get COVID tested, and everybody's freaking vaccinated.
right, but that's to get the testing. That's the thing that blows my mind here. The counts are up, but they're up about infection, not about hospitalization.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I don't get that. Why the count isn't about hospitalization? It's never about that. Because
It's never been about that. Right.
It was when they talked about flattening the curve. The curve has been flattened. So
Gal, that was 640 days ago. How dare you bring up that?
Hey,
how dare you?
I read a good story the other day that actually now they lowered the quarantine period from 10 days to 5 days.
Yeah, I heard about that.
We should move off this, Amnon. You're going to get
no. I'm just saying, which is
can't
nice.
Can't have an adult conversation about it without the overlords getting all upset.
Oh,
they're going to flag us
on YouTube because interesting.
Oh yeah.
So do not say the whole word.
It's flu. It's the flu.
It's the 2022 flu.
I go every day and get my vaccine booster. Okay, we should be good to go. Can't get mad at us now.
Okay. So here's something else. Talking about glitches. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint is currently showing sensor tampering alerts linked to the company's newly deployed Microsoft 365 Defender scanner for Log4j.
Okay.
Log4j, baby.
That's coming from Bleeping Computer. He said the alerts are reportedly mainly shown on Windows Server 2016 system and warn of possible sensor tampering in memory was detected by Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, created by an open handle collector.exe process. Admins have been dealing with this issue since at least December 23rd, and according to customer reports. While this Defender process behavior is tagged as malicious, there's nothing to worry about since these are false positives, as revealed by Tomer Teller, Principal Group PM Manager at Microsoft.
Yeah, but you got one false positive, right? One thing that is false positive, that means that is drowning any real message that you will get. And so if somebody is trained, right? If we are as human beings, as code monkeys, right? We're trained that this is false positive, then the next line will look false positive as well, even though it'll be something else. This is terrible.
And not only this, and if there's really a sensor tampering, I mean, if it really sees it, and you're going to ignore it. You're going to say,
that's what I'm saying, right? Because of this false positive, real, and we're not talking about the pandemic now. These are different positives.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Let's here. Oh, here it is. Federal courts have opened the door for what may amount to the most substantial Wi Fi upgrade in over 20 years. Last Tuesday, a U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia issued a ruling where it supported the FCC's decision to divvy up the 12 megahertz, 1.2 gigahertz of spectrum in the 6 gigahertz band for iLicense use. A move that paves the way for the eagerly anticipated move to Wi Fi 6E. Prior to the ruling, Wi Fi was limited to broadcasting over 2.4 and 5. That new spectrum represents the single largest addition since Wi-Fi was first introduced in 1989. To put that in perspective, prior to the FCC's additions, Wi-Fi operated with just 400 megahertz of the spectrum. With that in mind, this new ruling should essentially increase the space available to Wi-Fi by 4 times. When implemented, all the additional spectrum could provide enough capacity to allow 7 maximum capacity Wi-Fi streams to broadcast in the same area without interfering with one another. Put it more simply, this should translate to increased bandwidth with less interference for everyday users. Proponents of the FCC decision, like Agency Chair Jessica Rosenwasser, argue it will provide more Wi-Fi access in a greater number of places while simultaneously improving performance. All this extra space could also increase upload and download speeds as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a graph. I'm trying to find the numbers because I can't see the numbers. So they're talking about the bandwidth. Well, literally the bandwidth
Yeah,
that is going to be used on 6 gigahertz is going to be double that of
4
the
times.
5 gigahertz. So and 4 times
Oh, yeah, okay,
the
yeah.
2.4. So so and one interesting thing, because we are going up at the gigahertz, and we talked about it a second ago, because we're going up, we're shortening the range. We're also shortening, minimizing the latency. So lower latency, right? But you'll need to be physically a lot closer to the router, and
Uh-huh.
that also means less disturbance, higher bandwidth, because the chunks we're taking are higher. I mean, interesting. It Federal court just released this, so I'm guessing 4 to 5 years until it'll be like
Implemented?
like widespread, like every Starbucks or most homes will have it. So it's new. There's gonna be an influx, probably some sort of brand that provides free Wi-Fi. We'll start using it more and more, but then again, we also need our phones to
Right.
support it and our laptops to support it.
Every
So
device.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm sure that the machines that we're gonna see this year, only the very high end will probably have that. So yeah, actually, this is the kind of things we need Spence to explain, because he's seen it like tons of times.
Yeah,
So
and actually my router um started, I mean, I have to reboot it more often.
okay.
So I said, okay, I need to get another one. So I looked, and I need to load the, what do you call it? The Merlin, the DW, what is it? The different software.
Oh, DWRT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you need something that you can flash with that.
Right.
Okay.
So talked with Ron and found out that Asus, the Asus all the Asuses will do it. So I looked and I saw that, okay, this is Wi-Fi 6 and it's only like $10 more, something like this. Yeah, I'm going to get it.
But you can't, the
You
DWRT probably won't work with it.
Oh, no, it will.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. Yeah, no, he read. But my devices will not work with it.
Why? It doesn't support the older...
No, I cannot. Let me rephrase.
Will not make use of it.
Right. I cannot make use of the Wi-Fi 6 unless you put another NIC card in
you'll need
device.
to start.
Yeah. But it's okay. And now I read this article and talking about 6E. I said, okay, well, I just got a 6. Now they have a 6E.
That's exactly, yeah. I mean, 6, even 6, right? Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah.
It's not new technology from last year, but
Yeah.
only last year you got to hear
more and more.
You see it in the specs on what you buy at Costco. You see it in the specs on what you buy, right?
You could always get it.
Yeah. I mean, you could pay through your teeth to get something. But right only now it's starting to become the standard, right? So
yeah. But I mean, if you're upgrading your router and the difference in the price is not to the point where it's no, I'm not going to get that. Yeah. You should get the latest technology, even if you cannot take advantage of it right then, because later on you could.
You want to be future proof.
Yeah. Well, that's
not only backward compatible, also future proof. But that's the thing with future proof. Sometimes you're betting on the wrong horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So so it's been sitting on the bench.
And of course, they had to call it 6E instead of 7. Something that will be easily distinguishable by most people, right? It's it's
yeah. I still need. I'm waiting for Nick. I'm waiting for Ron to get some time because he will need to do it. Because I mean, as far as flashing it, and it's not the flashing; it's the configuring it. Because he figured out a way. I'm backing up Delta Force to here,
right?
And this has to be done with IPv6. And it should only be talking to me. I mean, Delta Force should only be talking to my IP address. I mean, it was a way to figure out how to do backup locally from Delta Force and have it done securely.
But I mean, especially if you're talking about DDWRT, can you just export the configuration?
That's the thing is that I asked him, I said, so I guess it's not going to be just as easy as restoring it. And he said, no. So I guess
I wonder if it's because he's more like me, where you do not trust that it'll work, but you wish.
I mean, we did use the restore one time when I replaced that router, but I replaced it with exactly the same one.
Yeah, I wonder if you can export that configuration from one DDWRT. I know the hardware is different, but in essence, the logics of the configuration should be the same. Yeah, interesting. This is interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Does that mean that federal court will also put free Wi-Fi in the courtroom?
Hopefully. Hopefully. I mean, it's not only that,
you can't go in with anything. You can't go in with a smartphone into the courthouse anyway.
No.
So it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yes, you can.
They let you now?
Most courthouses don't allow that.
Are you talking? You must be talking federal court.
No, even here in Raleigh, I mean, I had attorney friends that one of them lost his phone. Because when you go into the courthouse, you have to put your phone in a box.
Yeah.
This is a few years ago. So I don't know.
I've been literally last week at a courthouse, needed to take out something from the clerk. You cannot. I mean, it's very cheap. You get a quarter to put in a lockbox, but you
Oh.
cannot take
I
a
was in a
phone.
I was in a
Hmm.
I was in a county court 2 weeks ago here. And they put it through the little basket through the metal detector, but I just took it and brought it
Interesting.
into.
So every county
Yeah.
has their own rules.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Gal,
Hmm.
I've got Open Z-Wave running on my Home Assistant server.
Open Z-Wave. Why not Z-Wave JS?
Oh, is that the one I should be running?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then disregard that statement. Let me stop.
But okay, so you got the Z-Wave controller, and
Yeah, I got it's in the computer right now, but I got the
Yeah.
little Zeus
yeah.
stick. So yeah,
So what do you have connected to it?
nothing. I don't have any devices yet. I've ordered a device, so that'll be
Okay.
here in a couple days. All of the
Welcome.
It was funny. It's like
Welcome
it's
to
like
the
a lot of people were doing the similar thing for Christmas because there were so many. You went to Amazon and tried buying some of the cheaper Z-Wave devices. They were all out of stock.
Yeah.
Wow.
Black Fridays, up to Black Friday, the sales were. I remember watching Slick Deals to see, what's available, etc. Tons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, now Z-Wave JS is running, and
And
Well,
I don't know.
as he said, until you don't have the first device, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
So
all
does
right.
this not create a tag inside of Home Assistant to like on the left hand side to modify it and stuff?
So there is an add-on called Z-Wave.
The MQQT broker.
The Z-Wave JS to MQTT, and what that does is it has its own web interface in addition. So Z-Wave JS and Z-Wave JS to MQTT, they work the same uh, uh, with Home Assistant, but the Z-Wave to MQTT includes a web-based control panel where you can modify some of the parameters on that level.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm installing that as well, so we'll see.
Oh, good.
So you'll be by the end of the day today with that installed, you're basically at the same point as Amnon is because he also has a Z-Wave controller, but still doesn't have a switch.
Right.
We'll get
When you
there.
say switch, what do you mean? A device?
Like
Yeah.
a device that you can
Oh.
control.
Yeah, I think I ordered the device I ordered will be here on Wednesday. I ordered a water sensor. I thought that would be a good early test. I can just, I can just put water on it and verify. It'll be an easy thing to test. That.
Well, how does the the only thing the Home Assistant does right now over here is tells you the temperature and stuff. Where does it get that from?
From your
internet?
location that you put in when you set up.
Okay, so it's not
From
local.
outside, from the local sites that
Yeah.
collect weather information.
Okay. All right. Let's see what. Oh, Nick, I'm sorry. Is there any more discussion about that Z-Wave and Home Assistant that you wanted to?
No, I've got it in. I've got it in here now. I got to figure out how to set up the Z-Wave JS to MQQT to talk to the controller.
Did you set up the other the open Z-Wave?
Huh?
Or
No,
it was
well, yeah, but then I uninstalled that. So
Okay.
Yeah, the difference are different add-ons to control the Z-Wave controller. You do not. It used to be part of Home Assistant built in to the core. The thing is, every time the core would restart, and you need to restart it when you're doing some configuration, then you're losing connection to the Z-Wave controller, and you need to it's called re-interview the network. And that's a lengthy process. And not only that, it is draining any battery operated endpoints.
Wow.
So, I mean, draining. It is
It's using.
forcing. Yeah, it's forcing a refresh. So it means that there's this additional task that needs to happen, and if you're doing it uh, more than once or twice a week, it's a burden. It's troublesome. So the approach is they created add-ons, which are basically like these VMs. Yeah, this is awesome. Uh, they created a separate process basically that works with the controller, but there were different approach. So Open Zwave was one of the older ones. It was working very well. It still works well for those who haven't moved. But if you're now starting, you want to use the Z-Wave JS. The Z-Wave JS is a re-implementation of the Z-Wave of the Open Z-Wave library, completely written in JavaScript as a server-based solution, and it has the most updated database of devices and control calls and all that. So when you're working with it, you also get the most responsive. You get the best world in terms of identification of your devices. And not only that, it supports advanced stuff like firmware updates over the air and stuff like that. So compared to other um, home automation hubs that support Z-Wave, like Vera, which have a very very huge following before that, and this is the first one open source, complete open source solution that does it better than any of the other paid solutions. So it's
Oh,
and this development is from the last year and a half. So very
Well,
very
I've
interesting.
got it installed, and I can see my Silicon Labs 700 series based
Yeah.
controller inside of the Z-Wave JS. So
Yep.
now we wait.
Now you wait.
and for the audience, I mean, what Nick is doing is what Nick and Gala talking about is home automation, where you can control different devices around your house. I mean, we're talking lights, we're talking refrigerator, we're talking anything that's
So it's not control. Control is a very,
managed.
very, very, very narrow aspect of it. And for control, I mean, if you buy a Wi-Fi enabled bulb,
Right.
right, you already have some sort of smart control through its app. The home automation that Home Assistant provides, well, forget home automation. The automation that Home Assistant allows you to have is such where you no longer have limits in the way that you think about automation. So it's not just about whether you want the lights on or off. It's whether if you switch on this light, what else will happen? If if it's if the sun goes down, do you want this light to be switched on automatically? But only if somebody's at home, right? Or only if I don't know, only on holidays, right? You can start creating automations in a very easy, very visual way. There's another add-on like the Z-Wave one called Node-RED. It's based on a IBM project, open source IBM project, where what you do is you do not need to know how to actually code. You do not need to understand syntax of programming and any of that. What you do is you drag and drop boxes and connect them with lines. Very
Nice. Yep.
visual way of creating control flows, right? And you can create that, and the abundance. It's basically JavaScript at the bottom of it on a Node.js server, and so there are a lot. The amount of libraries that you have and the integration is so well done with Home Assistant that you can literally create. Our friend Sarid,
Mhm.
he has such elaborate control schemes around that. He monitors from multiple sensors combined with his Zigbee thermostat, right, which controls it. And even if he makes changes, It knows how to reset back after a couple of times, and it knows only to operate when somebody's at home. He has control about so many aspects of it, right? And he did it all on his own, and he hates programming, right? The idea of sitting down writing a script is not something that is nature to him. But using that, he and of course YouTube and home automation blogs and all that, he figured out how to build these automations for himself, and they're very, very impressive. So
I need to port forward my Home Assistant instance, right? If I want to use the app,
well,
I'm gonna have to.
I mean,
So I can access
obviously,
the app internally right now, but
obviously,
that's
what
not gonna
I
work.
would suggest, you do have a domain, so definitely do we'll talk about it later, but do a Let's Encrypt host, so you'll have HTTPS connection from the outside that is signed. That is the best way to go, because that will also allow you to connect to something like Alexa or Google Home.
Okay.
So yeah.
And the hub that Nick is talking about, which I have the same, that Zeus.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? $40?
The USB controller, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, I mean, it's not anything that's costing here hundreds or thousands. I mean, you can end up.
Oh no, you can't.
Spend.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's just the beginning. This is just like buying the Switch. Now you have to have something that
right.
goes. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, right? Whenever you talk about a hub and a single switch, and then you're comparing it to a Wi-Fi enabled switch that you can buy for, I don't know, $20,
Mhm.
it seems like that's a lot of money,
Right.
right? $40 for the switch, another 30 for, or 20 to 30 for the, uh, 40 for the controller, 20 or 30 for the switch. You're starting to go down a rabbit hole that you're not so sure that you want to. Now, so the reasoning here is keeping everything within the home, right? I think we preach this pretty regularly about. I don't think any of us, not Amnon, not myself, not even Nick, we're not privacy freaks, but
No.
we are privacy conscious, right? We understand that there are things that should be in control of, in our internal control, and there are things that it's okay to have control outside, right?
Mhm.
And Z-Wave allows you to keep that control within and stay pretty much secure, right? A lot securer than using some Wi-Fi solution. Now, most Wi-Fi solutions, they need their server out of your home to connect
Right.
to, and that's the first thing that you wanna.
And most of them are in China.
Yes, most of. Well, actually, no. Even Tuya, right, which is a huge Chinese conglomerate. Um, when you remember when Amazon had the AWS issue
Failure.
on the East Coast, a lot of the Tuya machines and the Wise
Okay.
machines, they didn't work because they do want to host the stuff closer to the endpoints. So
Okay.
they're pretty, but they are controlled by a Chinese conglomerate, right? They are. The thing is, it doesn't matter if it's the Chinese or it's the U.S. or it's Sweden.
It's not you.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
And why would a Amazon AWS downtime affect your light in the living room, right? That's the thing. So so Z-Wave allows you to untie those ties basically to the outside. Same with Zigbee. Um, different different realms, competing realms at times. I find Z-Wave, even though it's the less open protocol, is the more mature one and the one where you can probably find everything you need for. Zigbee is interesting as well. I use both, but it's a different mindset. So that exists as well.
Oh. All right. So here is something that's the season. Returning unwanted gifts this holiday season is becoming so expensive for retailers that they just might let customers keep the product and issue refunds anyway.
Yeah.
The cost of online returns is soaring, contributing to increased prices, product shortages, and supply chain stress. Returning a $50 item is expected to cost an average of $33, up 59% from 2020, according to Optoro, which is a returns processor. Worker shortage and supply chain problems are taking a toll.
Interesting. So,
About 3 in 10 online purchases are returned. 3 in
yeah,
10.
that makes sense.
Retailers are expected to pass on the cost of returns in the form of higher prices. The consumer pays the price of a free return, and some retailers, namely Amazon, sometimes tell returners to keep it.
Right.
It would cost them too much to process a return. The challenge for online retailers is to process returns quickly and get the goods back onto their virtual shelves, minimizing depreciation. The faster you can get a good back to stock, the more you can avoid markdown.
Right. I wonder if Nick, if Slick Deals will start posting uh, items where the return is guaranteed to be refunded, but not required.
Yeah.
Then
This is the for companies like Amazon, right? They don't have brick and mortar stores and things of that nature. There's a lot less expense without having those retail stores and all of that. But this is the alternative to that expense.
Yeah.
Is not, for example, if I go and buy this cup from Walmart and I get it home and it's got a crack in it, I drive back to Walmart, I go to the exchange counter and I say, hey, this cup I just bought has a crack. And they go, oh, okay, go grab a new one off the shelf and bring it back here and we exchange it.
So there's a
Amazon's got to send me Amazon's got to generate me a label, pay UPS, contract with a store like Kohl's to do the Amazon returns, which by the way, if you're returning stuff from Amazon, do it at Kohl's. It's super convenient, and they give you like $10 to spend in the store every time you return something.
Wow.
And you can always buy $10 worth of tchotchke bullshit at Kohl's. Or, a shirt or something like that useful. And then now take the product back and now figure out what the hell to do with it. So they don't have that brick and mortar expense, but would you say 3 of every 10?
Yeah.
30% of everything that's getting ordered is being returned.
Yep.
So it's a different expense.
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's operating costs, the same way that a Walmart has to pay for electricity and for heat and air. It's just an operating expense.
Well, there's
nothing you can do about it.
There's one more thing you can do with the Walmart return specifically. So you can start the return on the phone app, and for stuff that is less than $5 to $10, it might say you're all done. No need to return it. It happened to me a couple of times. Really bizarre.
Yeah, so, I can tell you the last time I returned something at Walmart. But yeah, the app is super easy to.
Yeah.
Have you tried the new thing at Walmart where you just scan the stuff in your cart and don't go through checkout?
I haven't tried that, but I do use the app to pay at Walmart.
Yeah.
And all that. The reason I do it is 2 things. All of the receipts are there automatically. I don't need to scan even the receipt. Don't need to deal with paper at all. And if you do get a refund or something to a gift card, it'll take it from the gift card first and stuff like that if you enter everything. So it's like a no-brainer. They're one of the stores where their app is actually helping you be a lot more productive at the store. So if I know I need to buy something, I put it on a list. Not only do I get the list when I'm at the store, it also gives me a map of where it is and stuff like that. They did it right. But they are such a big um, consumer oriented store that they've had this in mind since day one, right? So their systems internally were built like this, and they just
Yeah.
expose it very well to the customer. Yeah.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me here is they said that the faster they get it, they can put it.
Yeah.
When I return stuff to Amazon,
Mhm.
it was in December.
Yes.
They wanted by January 31st.
Yeah.
Why?
That's to allow that's to pull the customer in. They'll know that they can buy the gift in
Yeah.
advance, right? And if they gift it only at New Year's Eve, for example, the person who's getting it can still return it. That is a different discussion,
Right.
right? Extending the return window, that is to bring people to buy more and be less concerned about it. But then the moment you don't want it, right? They want the processing to be as fast as possible. Why? A couple of things. One, they don't want it clogging up their own processing centers, right? Because that's where it goes. That's one. Two, they already paid the
Whoever.
the seller, right? They already paid the seller. Now they're gonna need to pull that money out of the seller. The seller will want to keep on working and paying the Amazon fees and all that only if that is efficient. I mean, the seller is another Amazon customer.
Correct.
It is the second rated
Yeah.
customer. That's true. Amazon prefers the paying customers, but still it is another customer, right? They prefer that you'll work with them on Amazon than go to eBay and work
Sure.
on your own, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, it's a big problem.
It is.
Here's the thing though. I don't think it's a big problem. I think this is their version of retail.
Yes, it's their version
It
of
is
retail,
their
but
version of
it's
retail.
definitely not it's not a more efficient way of retail, right? The most efficient way of retail is go use a brick and mortar, and that is the most efficient way. That is why you prefer Walmart on Amazon for most things, right? If you can,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you do have a brick and mortar in your neighborhood or very close to it that you can refer to it, right?
Well, I don't know. God, how long have you been on the show?
I think 3 years we talked about it.
Were you on here when I first moved to North Carolina?
No.
So when I was living at home in Albany, I would Amazon shipments daily. When I first moved down here to Wilmington, the apartment that I got was 0.3 of a mile from Walmart. I mean, it was literally across the street. I didn't use Amazon for months because the convenience factor was just gone.
Yeah, I remember.
And now I'm in a position where I've
remember.
moved now, and Walmart's about 12 to 15 minutes away, which isn't crazy, but it's no longer it used to be a 15-minute round trip. Get in my car, drive to Walmart, walk, get what I want, get back in my car, and I'm home. 15 minutes, I got it. Now it's probably more like a 45 minutes to an hour thing. And if I can get it cheaper on Amazon and have it here in 2 days, and I don't need it right now, I'll wait. So it's very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously Amazon, I bought 2 pairs of jeans on Amazon back in late November, right around Thanksgiving. They both came. They didn't fit, which I couldn't figure out because they were the same measurements and sizes of jeans I already have from the same brand. So I returned them, and no problems at all.
No,
I literally walked into Kohl's, showed the guy a QR code on my phone. He took the things, and as I was getting back in my car, the Amazon app gave me a notification and said that your refund has been processed.
Yep.
You have $45 worth of
Mhm.
Amazon credit back on your account.
Right. And that
It's just simple. They just know how to do it, and it's what they do.
that is exactly what they have become experts at. One of my friends, he owns, he sells stuff through Amazon. He some mechanical components, and so I get some of the I get his vantage points from time to time about how these processes work, and he says, yeah, he pays the processing by Amazon fees, right? Because it is to his benefit on the overall, even though it's expensive, right? It's an expense that goes out. Amazon is very lenient with customers on returns. There's no, um, currently, there's no tracking of whether, a return was merited or not when the something gets to the seller, right? There are times where he gets in the box not what he sent, like a completely different brand. The customer bought something, put something else in the box, and returned. There's a lot of fraud going on,
Yeah.
and the
Well,
sellers.
that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Is the system only works because inherently, and I genuinely believe this, inherently people are good. Just inherently people are good people. Now, of course, you've got individuals that will always try, and if they can shyst or scam somebody out of something, they will. But because that's not a majority of people, the system works.
So
if 50% of the people that were returning something on Amazon were returning not the product they ordered, Amazon would be completely shit out of luck. They would be
Right.
screwed.
I would debunk your theory and just shift it a bit. It's not that people are good; is the culture in the United States works with the mindset of the Amazon process.
But I think people
you
are inherently
take
good. I
this-
mean, you just look at, like,
you
for
take this
example,
you take this to another place. You take it to Israel, it
Forget
won't
it.
work. You take it to China, it won't work. You take it to Russia, it won't work. You take it to in some European countries, it works, where the mindset is very, very similar. But I'm telling you, this will not work everywhere. But we're lucky that here it actually does work.
Well, I mean, that's
now let me,
that's-
but I want to understand why. So what's different in obviously China and Russia are kind of off
It has
guard,
to
but
do with
Israel is
that-
a good example. What's wrong? What's different in Israel that causes people to not want to do that?
Complete mistrust in any system, in anyone, in any. There is no service-oriented mindset in the culture at all, right? Here, you take it for. We talked about the county clerk, right?
Mhm.
I went to the county
Yeah.
clerk. I needed to take some paperwork, get from them. There was some problem, right? And so the person that gave me that served me asked me questions about how to identify whatever we're looking at differently. She took out of her time. I was wrong. I did a mistake, right, in the way I presented my request. She did not put me on the spot on the mistake, but instead she helped me figure out what was actually needed, and she got me through the finish line, right? And everything was calm and cooperative, and we got it. Now, this is the county clerk. This isn't the service. This I'm not paying anything there other than the dues to copy the paper, right? That it's not a for-profit organization, and yet I got a very pleasant experience of working with another human being.
The county
You
clerk is
take
a
it-
public servant, though.
A public servant, right?
Yeah.
You take the word public servant to most other cultures, and what you get obtuse people. You get people who do not give a crap about you as the citizen. You are here only to fill up the paperwork in the correct way. Otherwise, you are a nuisance to the environment. You and that is the way you are in most other places. When you come here The reason a lot of the Germans, British, French, when they come over here, the biggest surprise is how service oriented everything is the fact that you get pleasant faces when you go to a McDonald's, right? It's mind-boggling, and if you haven't experienced it, how it is outside of the US, then you take it for granted.
Yeah.
And that is probably why the US is so good at Hollywood, right? Why Hollywood does such a great case, because they have this the moral code depicted, right? Is this pleasantness? Is this there's a happy ending at the end, and the happy ending is the constant. I told you it's going to be an existential show. The happy ending is part of the existence, right? And it seeps to everything here, and so this is the main difference why something like Amazon can be only created in the United States. Now, don't get me wrong; they are taking over the world. They are figuring out how to operate in other regions, and trust me, it's not as the experience we have here in the States is probably a lot different than the experience that a UK person buying from Amazon UK is having, or the German person buying from Amazon DE. Okay, so I'm sure they are doing everything they can to make it as seamless as possible in all areas, but it won't be the same in every region. So our experience here is not global; it is really specific to the US.
Yeah, and Nick, you're gonna have to be traveling to another country and spend some time and to see these things. It's hard to understand it when you hear. To
identify
like
what
God
you're
is
taking
saying.
for granted. Yeah.
You take it for granted.
Now,
like
it
that's interesting. I
works.
would have never thought about that. But I think my point still stands though. If 50% of the people that return stuff to Amazon were not returning the item they got, Amazon would have to retool. They wouldn't be able to stay in business. It just it wouldn't work.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But
It just wouldn't work at all.
But that is exactly the article, right? Is up until this point, it was okay, it was easy, it was a no-brainer for Amazon, Walmart, etc. to process the return. But suddenly, it is becoming more expensive to process the return, right? So something is shifting. And maybe the holiday season is just an expenditure of this, because these are a lot of things that you buy for somebody else that might want to return it, right? So we have that extra layer, and it's like we're talking about 50 to 60% of the sales done only in these month and a half, right?
Right.
That's the holiday season.
Yeah.
So everything is like pushed to the max here, and you add the pandemic effects of supply chain and shortage in workers, right? So everything's like nuts suddenly. But I wonder if it will reflect on the future. Like, will it affect the process going forward? And are we going to stop seeing a lot of free returns being offered, right, and stuff like that? It's
well, the other interesting thing about it is I've never experienced this firsthand, but I've heard stories, so I don't know how accurate they are. But go back 20 years and look at a store like Best Buy, where you would buy something technology based. They used to apparently charge some sort of fee when you return something, like a restocking fee.
Yeah.
Now, apparently that used to be the standard.
Radio
that used to be a pretty common thing.
Used to do that. Yeah.
There are still places that do that thing.
I don't think there are, though. Very few.
And I think Best Buy still has that in their system, but they always say we are waiving away the restocking fee.
And I think that's because of services like Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. The verbiage is still there.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But now, when you look at, in Walmart, I think does the same thing. I haven't returned anything from Walmart that I purchased. Oh, actually, I haven't. But my father recently ordered something from Walmart online and didn't know if it would fit the need that he needed. And it turns out that instead of even shipping it back to Walmart, you just bring it to any of their stores and they handle it from there. You talk about convenience.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. That's super convenient.
Yeah, that's with most purchases. There are few that say that they list on the page that they cannot be returned at the store. But those are from third-party sellers that do not sell at the warehouses, at the locations at all. So those must be shipped back. But other than that, usually you just go to the store and you can return there. Yeah, which I agree. It is a huge convenience. Because if you're already driving somewhere, then let me drive to the spot that matters, right? So,
well, and that puts a store like Best Buy, who is the example I heard that used to have that policy, in a very precarious situation, because now you're going to be the retailer that charges a restocking fee. Nobody's going to buy anything from you. What if it doesn't work? I don't want to deal with that. I may even pay more at a place like Walmart or Amazon because I don't have to deal with the BS. So it changes them big time.
You know what the next revolution is going to be? The retailer that is going to accept returns from others.
You mean from different?
Like you bought from you bought from Walmart? Yeah, you can return it in Best Buy, not a problem. That's gonna be like another twist. In a way, Amazon is doing it a bit, right? Because you're returning to Kohl's, right? You're not even working. Yeah, but
but you should read everything on the page when you order stuff. I mean, if you're buying from one of the bigger companies, it's fine, but a lot of like auto parts.
Yeah.
Rock Auto even has, I think, a pretty good return policy too.
Who?
Rock Auto.
Okay. But in many,
they're a big, there's not many big online retailers that
but my point is, if you look and you read everything on the order line, on the ordering page, I see a lot of them that says that if you're returning something, unless it's defective, there is a restocking fee. And I mean, we're talking in the last month.
Even with Amazon.
No, not with Amazon.
No, even with Amazon.
If
you're returning, the moment you're returning, there are like 6 or 7 options.
Right.
There are a few that are always 0, right? But sometimes you get at least the UPS fee. You sometimes need to pay, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's great that they allow you to go back and then choose a different reason. They do not. It seems that they do not check, or yet they do not check whether those reasons match reality or not, or they did not pursue if something turns out wrong. That is part of their whole philosophy of the customer.
Yeah, but that's
first. But
again, that's nice that you can return it and get another one replacement, and there's no transaction. You don't have to lay any more money. On eBay, a lot of stuff says that if you return it and there's nothing wrong with it, or no, it says that buyer is responsible for shipping returns, even if it's free.
Yeah,
ship it back, the buyer will pay for it. There's a lot of
here's
these
the thing.
things.
So like I mentioned those pants that I ordered. There was nothing wrong with them. I didn't even take the tags off them. They just didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what when you click on the reason for return, that's what I wrote. And Amazon just said, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's because on clothing, if you'll notice, there's a lot. It's very important for clothing items to see that it has the free returns tag next to the price, because that means that even if it's not the style. Yeah, I don't like it. You can return it without any fee. So that's very important. The reason I know about it is because Mati, my wife, she has become an expert shopper in
online
and on online shopping, and she loves the convenience. It comes home, she tries it on with her clothes. She can get to see it. She sees if it fits. She sees if it's the style she likes. So she buys I don't know, she can get to a situation where she buy 8 items and maybe she'll return all of the 8 if it doesn't work, right? So yeah,
I
it's
know Kathy was when she would order this size and this size and this size, one below, one
yeah,
above, just to make sure that, and return the ones that didn't fit right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So instead of specials, we talked about Amazon.
Absolutely. Well, I bet a lot of them. So here's something that is actually your up your alley. Some users of the popular password manager recently received LastPass
LastPass, yeah.
emails from the company warning them of suspicious login attempts that were utilizing their master password. Definitely never a great sign. Speculation soon spread that LastPass may have suffered a data breach that exposed users' credentials, thus allowing for the malicious activity to take place. According to LastPass itself, the answer is we don't think so. When reached for comments by Gizmodo, the company provided us with a statement blaming the irregular activity on credential stuffing attempts by some unknown threat actor. LastPass investigated recent reports of blocked login attempts, and we believe the activity is related to attempted credential stuffing activity in which a malicious or bad actor attempts to access user accounts, in this case, LastPass, using email addresses and password obtained from third-party breaches related to other unaffiliated services.
Okay, so
So it's
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm infuriated as well as anybody else. I'm
Sure.
not surprised, but that is exactly the reason the moment I could, I left LastPass. LastPass, where I've used them, they are a great product. Great product. I have nothing bad to say about the product. I have nothing bad to say about the company, right? But they are the leading password vault,
right.
right? Them, 1Password, there's a few. Those leading password vaults, they are the obvious.
That's where you go.
Yeah,
You don't rob
you
somebody in the street. You go to the bank.
Exactly. You don't go robbing the convenience store if
Yeah.
if the bank is next to it and is easy to get in,
Right.
right? So, and we're talking about hacking. We're talking about faceless. We're talking about people with the means to mask their approach. And so, if they are going to target anything, they're going to target what's worth the effort.
Yeah.
And that will be LastPass. So I mean, I'm not surprised. I am sad to hear that that exists, and this is your chance, your wake up call of if you are using a password vault, if it's hosted out of your control, right? Then this is your chance to move to something within your control. Either
And-
use KeePass as a local desktop application and sync the files, or use something like Bitwarden where you set up the server and you can connect with clients. This is
Yeah, there are other options.
there are other options. I would not recommend LastPass or 1Password, even though the product is fantastic.
Okay.
It's just because it's outside of your control for something as important as all of your passwords.
And when they're talking about credential stuffing,
Yeah.
it is amazing what these bad actors and what they utilize. I mean, one screen, one section of the screen in front of me when I monitor Delta Force is for all failed logins.
Okay.
And when it happens, I add it with fail to ban and block them forever.
Yeah.
I see people trying to log in as users that I did not have for 15 years.
Yeah.
I look, I said, what is that? You know, it's amazing how all these old lists that were built up from, I mean, you could get email addresses from mailing lists, from all kind of different places. It doesn't have to be a breach anywhere. Now, with the breach, they get millions at once. But in the early days, they used to build it up
Right.
slowly from, and it's just amazing.
And when you think
And
about combining credential stuffing with a password manager, if the credential stuffing is reusing stolen username
right,
password in uh, other than where it was stolen from.
mhm,
So when you combine that with a password manager, right? If somebody was indeed negligent, right, in using the same usual pair, then they're also exposing a lot more, because once they enter a password
they have
vault,
everything.
they have everything from there. So they have all of the other combinations, and then they have more for credential
Right.
stuffing, and it's just a perpetual
Yeah.
flywheel like this. So yeah, this is
Yeah. And
it is a
passwords,
tough blow.
I'm not saying they're not important now, but the more we go, the more they're going to be important for what, because more and more people are going to do stuff online.
Right.
And unless we have a really big change in how security is being handled, which some people say, passwordless and all that,
Yeah.
then you need to be vigilant about it.
Yeah.
There was an article that I read about how 1,200 apps that are out there in the wild to circumvent two factor.
Yeah.
Apps that will actually go and grab the packets that, I mean, these are free. They're just out there. And you say, what in the world? You know, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah. That'll happen as well.
Yeah. So yeah, just it's a good thing that this was not uh really uh a problem with LastPass. So yeah, here it is. A team of academics said it found more than 1,200 root phishing toolkits deployed in the wild that are capable of intercepting and allowing cybercriminals to bypass two-factor authentication, also
Amazing.
known as man in the middle phishing toolkits. They have become extremely popular in the cybercrime underworld in recent years after major tech companies started making 2FA a default security feature of the users.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now these rootkits, most of them, all they do is they're talking about man in the middle, right?
yeah,
Is they very similar to how you would get a front end to your Gmail account, and it will look exactly like
the
Google,
same,
right?
right? You're there.
So what they do is, okay, you enter your credentials, and then you are sent a two-factor authentication request, right? And so they they just updated all of their user interfaces to show exactly as what you will see, right? When you would log in and you're thinking you're interacting with the right one,
And you're not. Yeah,
and you're not. And
yeah,
then they collect that, they create a token, and they can hook up, they can connect there.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, they have all kind of ways to do it. It's amazing.
So John in chat is asking whether KeyPass works across multiple devices. So with KeyPass, there, as far as I know, there isn't a server-based solution. So you'll have your clients, and it can work on. I'm pretty sure it can even work on iOS. I know it works on Android, works on every OS you can think of. You also have command line interfaces for KeePass, but the database is always a local file, an encrypted local file, but it's a local file using some sort of synchronization tool like sync thing, uh, or if you because you trust that it's encrypted enough, like public cloud services like Dropbox, Google Drive, etc. You can sync that database across multiple devices. So that's how you would do it with KeePass. If you're up to setting up, if you're thinking about the need for multiple devices and syncing and stuff like that, take a look at Vault Warden or Bitwarden. Those are that's the solution that I would recommend if you're up to running a service that will always be on and you can connect to it over the internet.
Yep, and you can use it, install it on an old computer that you have.
Yeah, it Vault
And
Warden specifically doesn't require a lot of hardware, a beefy hardware. The
right.
Bitwarden server, the original one, Vault Warden is a fork. That one requires a bit more beefy hardware. That's why I would recommend for personal use or for a small office or something, use Vault Warden.
All right.
I'm a big fan of just putting everything in a notepad document. That's pure security for me.
Yep. And print
Just-
it and
Well, don't print it. Just give it a name that they won't look at, like 2012 tax returns.txt. Nobody's going to charge. If nobody's going to look at that.
yeah.
I'm joking, of course. That's a
No, call it
facetious comment.
garbage.txt.
Garbage.txt.
Remember that movie? What was the name?
No, I don't.
Hackers?
Oh, you're talking about hackers?
Hackers was the name?
I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, it's like 90s,
And
right?
what did they do?
So it starts by this. The movie is about this group of hackers that they get to. Hacking is displayed like this gang tagging activity, like this something physical and fun. But
Could be.
yeah, but one of the hackers there, he gets to download, gets to hack to a large system, bypasses. It's like the very basic tropes. It's like he used God as a password or something like that, and he gets to the admin, and he steals a file called garbage.txt or something like that, which is like a huge file. Downloads it, and that file contains like something like the secrets, like the admin put it there so nobody will.
So nobody would know. Yeah.
Yeah, Hackers. That was the movie. 1995.
All right. So here is interesting. Amazon has updated its Alexa voice assistant after it challenged a 10-year-old girl to touch a coin to the prongs of a half-inserted plug.
What?
Yeah, I saw this one. Yeah, that was interesting.
The suggestion came after the girl asked Alexa for a challenge to do. Alexa went, plug in a phone charger about halfway into the wall outlet, then touch a penny to the exposed prong.
That sounds like like an application. There are a lot of skills.
Yeah, well,
So
Amazon said it fixed the error as soon as the company became aware of it. The girl's mother described the incident on Twitter. She said, we were doing some physical challenges like laying down and rolling over, holding a shoe on your foot, from a physical education teacher on YouTube earlier. Bad weather outside. She just wanted another one. That's when the Echo speaker suggested partaking in the challenge that it had found on the web. The dangerous activity known as the Penny Challenge began circulating on TikTok and other social media websites about a year ago. Because she's asking Echo to give her a challenge.
And it's getting
Echo
it
go
from some
outside.
source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, "Oh, do this."
That is
Ah.
wow. That is.
Oh, I'm
I
wondering.
haven't heard about it, but now I'm gonna research this. This is interesting.
It's very interesting. It's disturbing.
Well, I don't know about disturbing.
Well,
I mean, I understand because we understand the technology,
yeah.
right? Is I can laugh about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that mom did not laugh when she was wondering what would happen if she wasn't there. It's. I still call it disturbing. You may not, but anyway,
I'm trying.
are there any people out there using BlackBerry?
Yeah, I saw somebody using one the other day.
Well,
Well,
if
BlackBerry has about
It's
2
all
years
Android.
ago they came up with an Android phone. So
if you're still
that's-
using an older BlackBerry phone running BlackBerry OS, it's time to upgrade devices. According to BlackBerry, it's ending support for legacy devices for BlackBerry OS and BlackBerry Playbook OS on January 4th. So as of Tuesday, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
well, doesn't sound like it's not going to work. It's ending support, so
Well,
they won't
that's
get
true.
any
Yeah,
updates.
that's true.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess look, they did do one thing very, very right, and it's their physical keyboard. They
Yeah.
actually issued an Android phone with a physical keyboard. It's pretty cool. It's
That's
just
what I
that
saw.
it's
This
just
weekend, yeah.
outdated. But their physical keyboard, I miss it very much.
You do.
I've never used the BlackBerry. I used the Nokia one with a physical keyboard. But I really miss the physical keyboard because it is a lot more efficient than typing on glass. It's just what it is.
True.
Um,
Especially with fat fingers.
Everybody has fat fingers when you're dealing with glass.
Yeah.
It's never
Yeah,
precise,
yeah.
right? I mean, the amount of AI going into the keyboard on a glass interface is amazing. That it actually gets most of it right, right? So a physical
Yeah.
keyboard resolves a lot of that and makes it a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a thing of the past, and we're seeing it less and less.
Here is something else. We all do backups, right? Or we try to do backups.
What's that?
No, I pay somebody to do that. Carbonite.
So, the Kyoto University in Japan has lost about 77 terabytes of research data due to an error in the backup system of its HP supercomputer. The incident occurred between December 14 and 16, 2021, and resulted in 34 million files from 14 research groups being wiped from the system and the backup file.
How many did you say? How much?
34 million files, 77 terabytes.
77 terabytes. Damn.
After investigating to determine the impact of the loss, the university concluded that the work of 4 of the affected groups could no longer be restored.
Oh.
All affected users have been individually notified of the incident via email, but no details were published on the type of work that was lost. At the moment, the backup process has been stopped. To prevent data loss from happening again, the university has scrapped the backup system and plans to apply improvements and reintroduce it in January 2022. The plan is to also keep incremental backups, which cover files that have been changed since the last backup happened, in addition to full backup mirrors. So it seems like, first of all, they were not doing an efficient backup. They were, I mean, shame on the people that that put the data there for not keeping their own backup.
Well, nobody said they didn't. They because everything in the article says they were notified, but there is no response.
Yeah, okay.
So we
Yeah.
don't know, but it sounds bad. It sounds
Yeah.
ay.
It's just amazing that something like this can happen. And it's
Well, HP supercomputers.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the software is. I wonder I have no idea.
Well,
But this is so sad in so many levels.
it is. And can you imagine you being one of the affected ones?
Oof. I mean, this can take a research effort back. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ay.
This is why you need to do more than one backup.
That is
And-
true, but we need to understand what we will never understand because I don't think it'll be even public knowledge. But it's like losing that amount of data. It is painful in so many levels.
Yeah. I mean, and look, an individual is not going to have 77 terabytes of stuff that they, I mean, yeah, unless you have a bunch of movies and
So
pictures and
I'm
stuff.
inviting you to take a look at the subreddit called Data Hoarders, where
yes.
everybody there is tagged by the amount of terabytes they own.
their own.
And these are people who all own that data themselves, the storage.
That hoard
not-
it themselves.
They are hoarding. The discussion in Data Hoarders is about how do I download the internet, basically. I'm not kidding. There are several tools that are curated in that team,
for that
in that
purpose.
group, for that purpose.
Phew.
And the usual discussion is, hey, this and this service has notified that they are going down or they are shutting this and server. We need to preserve everything they have and they have tools that crawl internet sites and scrape everything, whether it's video content or text or website images, files, software. There are people passionate about archiving and preserving content.
Archive.org does that.
They are talking about how to copy archive.org. So when archive.org loses their funding and die, there'll be enough copies around
Out
so
there.
it won't be lost. It's
Mm.
that's type of discussion. So some people might lose 77 terabytes of their own, and it'll be a sad thing.
It is. It's
Yeah.
it can be devastating in you know.
It is
But
a
again-
devastating blow.
But
Yeah.
again, I'll go back and say we should do
The
more
1 to
than
3.
one backup.
1 to 3 it's called. It's
But-
like you have one copy on site, you have two yeah, so it's
Right.
yeah, and a remote
I'm not sure that that's super relevant anymore. And let me, and it might be for certain use cases, like for example, Amnon with Delta Force. It probably, yeah, you need to do more than one. But I think for me,
Yeah.
do I need to do more than one backup on Carbonite, or is that sufficient?
No, no.
yes,
I mean,
you should.
you should,
Why?
but you shouldn't. You don't have to back up everything.
Because-
do a clone.
Not because a restore, right, will cause you a lot of time.
Yeah, but it won't though. I mean, it will and it won't.
It
If
will.
you think it won't, then it won't. But I can't
what
convince
you,
you.
it's
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because for example, if Amnon, if Delta Force, if the VPS blows up remotely,
yeah,
there's a lot of downtime for a lot of people.
correct.
So having more readily available backups and things of that nature makes a lot more sense.
Makes a lot of
for
sense.
me-
But I'm not even talking about Delta Force. I'm talking about my own stuff on my computer here.
yeah, but see, I think you're doing a lot more on your computer than the average person is in terms
Right.
of data. I mean, for example, like you look at what are some things that are important? Taxes, things of that.
Taxes,
nature. Well, I do all that
accounting.
stuff on TurboTax online.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing is also back it up.
Right. What
another
happens
drive.
when you lose access to TurboTax? For some reason,
I mean, I have the documents also stored locally.
Okay. So that's
So
your
I mean, there you go.
second backup.
So what'd you say?
So that's your second backup.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
You can consider that a first backup. That's what I'm saying.
First
Is
backup.
I've
Okay.
got the physical copy, and then it's also on Carbonite. So, I
So
don't know.
you
I think
have you have the first one, right? And it's on a very stable system like TurboTax, right? You have a second copy locally on your machine, and you have a third at Carbonite. That's
But
exactly
do we
what you need.
consider that second one on your machine a backup?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
yes,
it is.
It is a backup because your source.
Now, what about the file that
is-
originates on this computer, like an Excel spreadsheet?
So you probably want it at least on another drive, right? Whether it's connected all the time or sometime, and also remotely, right?
And it's really, I mean, it's not, Nick, it's not a big deal to do. You don't need to do the whole drive, but you can. And there is a very good software, old software that's been updated. It's called Second Copy.
Yeah, I used to use it. I just felt
Yeah.
I just didn't find it. I just didn't see any need for it anymore.
Well,
Take
I
a
mean-
look at SnapRaid.
I've looked at all of them. I don't have anything
useful.
that's super. I'm just trying to think of. I don't know of any data that I have that is so unreplaceable.
Your photos, first of all.
Photos are all
Everybody-
on iCloud. They're all on iCloud and on my phone. I don't have any of them on my computer. Not a single photo.
What happens if you lose access to iCloud?
I'm going to be shit out of luck. I don't have a solution.
So
Then don't be.
then just back them up. Create a backup locally.
I guess.
See,
Yeah.
that's the thing is that if you can download them all to another drive.
I mean, what happens if Apple for some reason flags your account, right? Does something and you can't log into it,
That's going to be a problem. I agree. There's no
right? So
no argument.
that's something you need to think about, right? That's something you need to.
And you
choose
should
to-
do it
to
the
copy.
sooner the better. I mean, just even if you copy it to, even if you download and just zip it into one file, and you don't have to do it on a regular basis. I mean, if you have everything up till today, it's better than nothing. And then you could do it every now and then, but with that second copy, $30. You don't need to think about it. Every time you save a file, it also saves it on another drive on your network. And a lot of people these days have a hard drive that's connected to the router. And that is the place to do it. So do it there. Yeah, of course. Do it also on Carbonite or whatever, and do it. The more, the better. I
No,
mean-
absolutely. The more the better. But then it comes down to, and again, I'm not arguing about backing up. It comes down
know.
to, okay, so you zip your file, but how often are you doing that? Are you doing it enough? And to me, I know damn
Right.
well I'm not going to keep it maintained. So why bother?
Well,
I've got the base copy. Things that are super, super important, I also put on Google Drive.
Yeah,
So
but,
things
but
that
you
so
see,
it's on Google Drive. It's locally on my computer, and it's backed up on Carbon.
so you see, Nick,
That's my quote unquote backup.
you don't need to think about it because you can let that piece of software do it for you without you
absolutely,
thinking.
yeah.
But to have something even just zipped and kept somewhere on the shelf is better than nothing.
I think you'd be surprised with how little data I really have on my computer. Most of my data is video games, and that stuff doesn't need to be backed up.
No, the video game, yeah.
I have very little data.
You're
Everything
right.
I do for work is on Office 365. I do have assets for show like the podcasts and things I produce. That stuff I do back up.
Mm-hmm.
It's backed up on Carbonite, and I also have all of the assets for infection and things of that on
Right.
Google Drive.
Right.
That's about all I've got. I really like my documents folder. There's nothing. There's really not a whole hell of a lot in
Yeah,
it. I just
okay,
don't
so-
have that. I just
so-
don't have that.
So that's why with a managed backup that you manage, and especially if you're using something like Second Copy, you could tell it, I just want to back up this folder, and this folder. Whenever I add or change something, I want you to update it. And that's it. But the point is that you updating it on regular basis, and you don't need to think about it. And some other people may want the whole hard drive. Some people may just want one file. I don't know. It's yeah.
I just think it's
You're
interesting
right.
when we look at where all of our data is stored, and I've got a lot of data on cloud services.
Yeah.
Drive, TurboTax. I do all of my not my accounting, but I do all of my finance stuff on Google Drive. That's why I keep track of my budget and things of that nature.
Yeah.
When you think about it, though, what is that? That's just a hard drive in Google's data center.
Correct.
But I am assuming, and this is not, what they say about assumptions. I am assuming that Google is taking care of that for me. That they have got the first backup, the second backup, the third backup, and maybe even a fourth backup.
And so did the Kyoto Research Group. Assume that the Kyoto IT were doing it right until something happened, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly. And I think I'm confident that I've fallen into the trap of, well, they're doing their job, so it's not my problem to deal with. I pay Google Drive for storage. They should be backing up my crap.
Right.
Which is that's not the right mentality to have, but I assume how most people are handling. I mean, I've got like 60 gigabytes worth of data on Google Drive.
Oh.
Some of that stuff is also mirrored locally on the computer, and then the stuff that's local is shot up to Carbon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so you're doing it. You're not thinking about it, but you are doing it. You have multiple backups, and that's good. Good.
For some things I do, for some things I don't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised with the lack thereof important data that I have. I don't run a business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of those things locally, and I don't need them locally. I just don't have them.
I can tell you,
you're in a different situation. You're handling client records. You're dealing with not inventory, but you're dealing with AR for payments.
Yeah.
You're in a very different position.
But here is something that we both use. vMix.
Mm-hmm.
And I have multiple profiles, all kind of, for every show, and some. And I found out when I started using it that I actually overwrote one with another.
Yeah, I did that too.
And oh geez. So what I set up is I actually set up a system with what is that Windows scheduler?
Task scheduler.
Task scheduler. Once a week, it takes all the files in my documents that are all vMix profiles, and copies them to another drive under today's date. So every now and then I have to go there and delete the old ones. But I found out that I actually went in, and because I did it a few more times, and I'll probably do it a lot more as I get older. And oh shoot, I overwrote it. So yeah, go get it.
I did the same thing. So I went to Carbonite and downloaded the
true
BMX file or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, there obviously is a situation in which I both lose all of my data locally, and Carbonite has some huge issue where they lose all of my data too, I guess.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
But
Hopefully it will not happen.
I am gambling on the fact that is not going to happen. Is that a smart thing to do? Probably not. But
no, but you see what another thing that I do without plan is you change the hard drive. You upgrade the hard drive. You put the old drive on the shelf. You mark it what date it is and what it is, and you just leave it there. there's no need to recycle hard drives anymore with the price. It's
there's no
better.
reason to buy hard drives anymore, in my opinion.
Well,
I beg to differ.
but
well,
I mean,
okay, for inside your, I mean, I'm all my stuff is NVMe or SSD storage.
okay.
I don't have any spinning drives anywhere except
Yeah.
for I don't have a single spinning drive in my
Well,
house.
they're still the cheapest.
And
no, they
it's
are,
nice.
but the day of taking that out to clone it to a new drive to put a new spinning hard drive in, I think is a day of the past.
I have customers that have WordPress sites
Mhm.
and they run
Mhm.
backup.
Mhm.
And I tell them, I said, why are you running a backup? Well, I want to have a backup. I said, well, we're doing backups every night for about 4 weeks. So what do you mean? I said, you can come and tell me, I changed the file on December 20th. And I didn't realize I did all this mistake. So everything is messed up. Can you restore it from there? And yeah, I can go to December 20th, said I want that file, and it will update it. I mean, it will
Yeah, but you're
restore
talking about a file. You're doing the same thing with databases?
everything. Everything that's on Delta Force. This is on Delta Force.
Yeah, so like for WordPress, for example, you wouldn't be editing a file. You'd be editing the
I'm
data,
not,
the
I'm not,
database.
it's not that, whatever. If somebody says that their database got corrupted and they didn't realize and they need to go and get a database from 2 weeks ago, yeah, we can do it. I can do it up to 4 weeks ago. And I can actually go some months ago because it keeps full ones going months back, not every day, but every week or so.
Yeah, I do something similar.
And it's nice to do stuff like it because okay, here it is. Have it. So it's the way of thinking about backup. Anyway, it's this time of day. We need to let people go do their thing.
Day.
Is there anything in the chat? No. All right. So Nick, you're gonna you start working back tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Back at it.
All right.
Bright and early, as they say.
Bright and early.
Excuse me, dark and early is what I said. Because it's not bright. Dark and early.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Gail, for sitting here with me. And Nick, I'm glad you joined us. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Arlington, Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick is on Wellington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM doing his daily news show. And you can listen to all the recordings on nickcraig.com. And on Tuesdays, 7 p.m., Nick and Brian are doing the Infection Podcast on Twitch. And this is a podcast for survival games and news about such. So twitch.tv/Infection Podcast, one word, no spaces. We'll see you, everybody, next week. And remember, again, have a happy New Year.
tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.